Behind Japan's prolonged period of peace lies the intelligence organization DA, which employs young orphan girls known as Lycoris to covertly eliminate criminals and terrorists. Lycoris Takina now is dismissed from the DA and is partnered with Chisato Nishikigi after disobeying orders, risking the life of fellow Lycoris Erika. She reports to one of DA's front operations Cafe Lycoris, run by its owner Mika and former DA agent Mizuki Nakahara. Meanwhile, the DA investigates a hacker called Walnut who breached their systems as well as weapons that went missing from an arms deal. Chisato informs Takina that their job is to help others in need any way they can while showing her around. While protecting Sayori Sanohara from a stalker, they realize she accidentally caught the ongoing arms deal in a picture she took. Takina uses Sayori as a decoy to lure out the terrorists stalking her, but Chisato non-lethally subdues them before she can kill them. Meanwhile, a man from the Allen Institute who hired Walnut to spy on Chisato presumably kills him after bombing his apartment. The next day, Takina officially becomes Lycoris' newest waitress, and the man from the Allen Institute visits who Mika recognizes. Walnut is revealed to have survived the attempt on his life and discovers fellow hacker Robota has sold him out. So Walnut then contacts Mizuki. Meanwhile, it's revealed the man from the Allen Institute is Mr. Yoshimatsu, who is a regular at the cafe. Chisato and Takina are then tasked to rescue Walnut from assassins hired by Robota and escort him to safety. They meet Walnut, who hides his identity by wearing a squirrel suit. Chisato and Takina fight off his assassins, with Chisato even aiding those they have injured. However, Walnut is gunned down by another team of assassins as they escape. Robota then reports his success to Yoshimatsu. Meanwhile, as Chisato and Takina take Walnut's body away, they are shocked when Mizuki emerges from the suit, having acted as Walnut's body double in a bulletproof vest. She and Mika formulated an elaborate plan to fake Walnut's death, and the real Walnut reveals herself as a young girl named Kirumi. For her own safety, Kirumi decides to take shelter in Lycoris in return for using her skills to support Chisato and Takina on their missions. Chisato then requests Kirumi help track down the arms dealers captured in Sayori's photo. Despite having worked at Lycoris for some time now, Takina still remains distant from Chisato and the cafe regulars. When Chisato has to return to DA headquarters for a physical exam, Takina decides to accompany her to try and petition Commander Kusunoki to reinstate her. However, upon arriving at HQ, Takina is bullied by the other Lycoris due to false rumors that she enjoys firing on her teammates. To her dismay, her previous team leader Fuki Harukawa has already replaced Takina with Sakura Autumn, and Kusunoki has no intention of having Takina return to DA HQ. This angers Chisato as she has figured out that DA's advanced AI Radiata was hacked during the mission, and Kusunoki used Takina as a scapegoat to cover up the hack. Chisato then tries to encourage Takina by suggesting she should try giving life outside DA a try first. Chisato and Takina then participate in a mock battle against Fuki and Sakura, with Chisato and Takina defeating them thanks to their teamwork and Chisato's near superhuman ability to instantly predict bullet trajectories. As they return to Lycoris, Takina has a newfound respect for Chisato and decides to attend a gaming session with her and the cafe regulars. After proving inaccurate with Chisato's non-lethal bullets, Takina decides to aim at non-vital organs with regular bullets at Chisato's suggestion. Chisato decides to take her shopping for clothes and later visit a restaurant and aquarium, as she wishes for Takina to get used to her life outside work. When asked by Takina, Chisato explains that she voluntarily refrains from killing and left the DA in order to search for somebody who helped her 10 years prior. After enjoying her time with Chisato, Takina begins embracing her life outside the DA. Meanwhile, Mika and Yoshimatsu meet again, and Mika wonders why Yoshimatsu has never admitted he's the one who inducted Chisato into the Allen Institute. But Yoshimatsu says that it's against their policy. As Takina and Chisato return to Lycoris, a terrorist named Majima opens fire on a subway train, only to be ambushed by a Lycoris team inside who guns his men down. Cornered, Majima detonates explosives to cover his escape. Robota then contacts him offering his help in combating the Lycoris, but Majima refuses. After the government covers up his attack as a train derailment, a frustrated Majima resolves to hit an even bigger target that will be impossible for the government to cover up. A month after Majima's terrorist attack, Chisato briefs her co-workers of their new mission, which consists of escorting a terminally ill wheelchair-ridden magnate named Matsushita around Japan. They then tour him around Tokyo, where Chisato confirms to Takina that she possesses an artificial heart. Meanwhile, two investigators discover evidence of a terrorist attack in the subway. Kirumi identifies an assassin named Jin following Matsushita, who Mika remembers working with 15 years prior. Takina attempts to intercept Jin as Matsushita breaks away from Chisato. Matsushita reveals Jin killed his family and their real mission is to kill him in revenge. Chisato succeeds in immobilizing Jin after he injures Takina, but Matsushita appears and demands she kill him. After she refuses to do so, Matsushita's machines suddenly stop working, killing him. In the debriefing, Mika explains that Matsushita was merely the body of an old drug addict used as a puppet through the machines in his wheelchair. The person controlling him is revealed to be part of the Allen Institute, who decides to change plans. That night, Majima and his men ambush and kill a Lycoris, with him exclaiming she will be the first of many. After several more violent attacks on Lycoris agents and the government declared martial law against terrorism, Takina decides to live with Chisato to ensure their safety. Meanwhile, a disgruntled Majima barges into Robota's apartment, giving him 3 more days to find the DA headquarters. He locates Chisato's home with his drone and records her stopping the assailants he sent. Majima arrives to kill Robota for failing his initial mission, but spares him after seeing Chisato's footage. At Lycoris, Kirumi reveals that she is the hacker responsible for the DA ordeal and Takina's dismissal, but is not responsible for the arms deal. She then shows them Robota's footage of Chisato. Later, Majima ambushes her, and during their fight he compromises her eyes. Majima then notices her Allen Institute necklace, garnering his interest. Takina arrives and rescues Chisato, and as they escape, Kirumi crashes her drone into an RPG-carrying lackey, causing him to blast Majima, who survives. Back at Lycoris, Takina does not blame Kirumi for what happened, taking responsibility for her own actions. Kirumi assures her allegiance as she reveals they now know Majima's name. Meanwhile, Majima confronts Robota again and orders him to dig up more information on Chisato. Chisato happens to spot an anonymous text being sent to Mika's phone by chance. Fearing that Kusunoki plans to close down Lycoris, Chisato convinces her co-workers to help her spy on the meeting. Meanwhile, Robota provides more information on Chisato to Majima, discovering her involvement on the mission that destroyed the old radio tower. Majima, who is responsible for that attack, finally realizes Chisato defeated him. He then assaults a police station. Fuki and Sakura show the surveillance footage, which finally identifies Majima. Chisato and the others then tail Mika to a high-class bar where they find out he is meeting Yoshimatsu. Realizing the meeting is a date since Mika is a homosexual, Chisato decides to leave but discovers it was Yoshimatsu who saved her life 10 years prior. She breaks her cover and thanks Yoshimatsu, but he denies his involvement before leaving. Mika threatens Yoshimatsu to leave Chisato alone, but he cannot bring himself to stop him. He later apologizes to Chisato for hiding the truth from her. The next day, Chisato returns to Lycoris as usual, relieving Mika and Takina. Later, it is revealed that Majima left a USB at the station during his assault, allowing Robota to hack DA's database. Yoshimatsu explains to Haimgawa, his secretary, that the Institute determines the future of people with special abilities. He then asks her to take care of Chisato. As Lycoris is incurring monetary losses, Takina takes over the finances. She creates a new menu item, encourages the usage of fewer resources during missions, and attends charitable causes with Chisato. However, due to the cafe's success, Chisato can't assist with her medical checkups. She finally does, but is cornered by Majima at her house. He retells his assault on the radio tower and how she stopped him, revealing he possesses supernatural hearing. A shocked Chisato says the AI supports people for good purposes, but Majima reveals they only support people whose abilities may be used for killing. As he leaves, he is engaged by Takina but manages to escape. Back at the cafe, Takina and Chisato reflect on what has happened since Takina's arrival. She gifts Chisato a dog keychain, and she learns Chisato's reluctance to attend checkups is due to her fear of needles. She attends her checkup but is instead immobilized by Haimgawa, who prepares to remove her artificial heart just as a worried Takina rushes to her aid. Takina manages to force Haimgawa to flee, but she still applied a high voltage discharge into Chisato's heart, making it unable to be recharged, giving Chisato only 2 more months to live. This devastates Takina, but Chisato returns to her daily life unfazed. Kusunoki then recruits Chisato for a raid on Majima's hideout, but she only agrees if she reinstates Takina. Kirumi has Mika reveal that 10 years ago, despite her talent, Chisato suffered from a congenital heart disease that only gave her 6 months to live. Seeing her potential, Yoshimatsu arranged for Chisato to receive an artificial heart under the condition that Mika raised her like their own daughter and ensured she used her talent for killing. However, Chisato saw Yoshimatsu as her savior and thus used her abilities for good. Takina and Mizuki overhear the story, and they all agree the best way of tracking down Yoshimatsu is through Majima. Meanwhile, Majima learns about Yoshimatsu and comes up with a new plan. Takina decides to return to the DA to help Chisato and arranges for a day off to spend time with her. After visiting the park, she thanks Takina and gives her scarf as a present before leaving. Meanwhile, Yoshimatsu and Haimgawa are ambushed and captured by Majima. Chisato decides to close down Lycoris. As such, Mizuki and Kirumi both decide to leave for foreign countries. At dock, Kusunoki reveals in Kuboku are the new radio tower as Majima's target, and explains their mission to raid his hideout. Takina confirms the Allen Institute's involvement with Majima after interrogating one of his men. Meanwhile, Majima has taken Yoshimatsu hostage and tells him that he will target the AI after dealing with the DA. The Lycoris raid the hideout, but Majima has relocated, boasting to Kusunoki that he plans to expose Japan's false peace. The next day, Majima uses Robota's USB in the tower's antenna to broadcast to all of Japan that he's hidden 1,000 guns all over Tokyo for anybody to find. Seeing Majima wants to expose the DA's existence, DA superiors order Chisato's intervention. Meanwhile, Mika tells Chisato the truth about Yoshimatsu and apologizes for hiding it. However, she does not blame either of them, being thankful for the time she was given. Kusunoki then calls to deploy Chisato just as they receive a call from Robota telling her where Yoshimatsu is being held and saying he will be killed if she heads to Inkuboku. Trusting Takina and Fuki's abilities, Chisato and Mika prepare to go rescue Yoshimatsu. As the Lycoris prepare to assault the Inkuboku control room, Takina becomes aware that Chisato has gone missing, but doesn't have enough information to act on. Meanwhile, Kirumi continues to investigate Yoshimatsu, tracing him through the doctor that developed Chisato's artificial heart, and learning that an improved version had been developed for her. Kirumi meets back up with Mizuki and hacks Chisato's phone, learning Yoshimatsu is being held at the ruins of the old radio tower. Realizing Chisato is going into a trap, Takina abandons the operation to head for the old radio tower. The Lycoris proceed with their assault, but it turns out to be a trap when Robota hacks Radiata and broadcasts the fighting live to all of Japan, exposing DA's existence. At the old radio tower, Chisato fights her way through Majima's men and finds Yoshimatsu, who is able to escape. However, Majima traps Chisato in a closed room with no light, neutralizing her prediction ability while allowing him to exploit his advanced hearing. While Majima initially has the upper hand, Takina breaches a hole through the wall, allowing light to enter the room and putting Chisato back on equal footing with Majima as they prepare to continue their battle. After Chisato deafens Majima with her guns, she and Takina are able to incapacitate and restrain him. Chisato then finds Yoshimatsu, who reveals he has implanted the new artificial heart into himself, meaning she has to kill him to access it. However, Chisato refuses and prevents an enraged Takina from killing him and Himagawa. An upset Takina asks why she did not kill Yoshimatsu, so Chisato explains that while she may have prolonged her life, she would not have wanted to trade another person's life for it. Mizuki and Kirumi pick them up and inform them that Lily Bell agents have been deployed to dispose of the Lycoris at Inkuboku for being exposed. Chisato and Takina help Fuki's team in seizing the control room, and Chisato plugs in an override USB Kirumi gave her. With it, Kirumi redopts her walnut persona and counterhacks Robota, getting him arrested and reactivating Radiata, which broadcasts a message explaining the gunfight at Inkuboku was an elaborate publicity stunt. With DA's secret safe, the government calls off the Lily Bell. As Takina and the other Lycoris prepare to leave Inkuboku, Majima suddenly arrives, having freed himself from his captors. With the Lycoris absent, Chisato and Majima face off again. Majima shuts down the power to Inkabu to prevent anybody from interfering with his duel with Chisato, and reveals that he holds the detonator for a bomb that will destroy the tower in 1 hour. Meanwhile, because the elevator can only run on auxiliary power, Takina decides to scale the tower to help Chisato, while Fuki takes an injured Sakura for treatment. Chisato and Majima prove to be equally matched until Chisato's heart begins to malfunction. Wanting a fair battle, Majima calls for a temporary truce, and the two briefly discuss their motivations. Majima sees himself as an equalizer who must tear down DA and its lies, while Chisato simply wants to help the people close to her. Unable to reconcile their differences, they resume their battle. Back at the old radio tower, Mika confronts Yoshimatsu and Himagawa and easily defeats Himagawa in combat, revealing he had been faking his leg injury the entire time. He then reluctantly kills Yoshimatsu to obtain the new heart. In Inkuboku, Majima manages to injure Chisato due to her focusing on trying to get the detonator. Takina then intervenes, giving Chisato the opportunity to throw Majima off the tower, and to his apparent death, while Takina is narrowly able to prevent Chisato from falling off herself. Sometime after the Inkuboku incident and the martial law was lifted to maintain peace, society largely accepted Radiata's cover story and life has gone back to normal. Da continues to track down the guns Majima had hidden throughout the city, and Majima himself is revealed to still be alive. Takina later tracks down Chisato, who had run away from the hospital thinking she was going to die. Takina explains that Mika recovered the new heart which was implanted into Chisato, extending her life. However, Mika kept secret the fact he killed Yoshimatsu for the heart, leading Chisato to believe Yoshimatsu lied about implanting the heart inside himself. When Takina asks Chisato what she wants to do now, she decides to travel to Hawaii. In a post-credits scene, Chisato, Takina, and the rest of the Lycoris staff travel to Hawaii in a mobile cafe truck where Chisato continues to offer her services to help others. And this brings the anime to an end. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Also turn on notifications so you don't miss out on another video. Until next time, farewell.